Before we start, a huge thank you to Throwaway Slip 84 for letting me use their story for tonight's video. I posted a bit of this story a few years ago, but received very little response, and decided to just let it be, since it seemed to be something of the past, and I thought I should just let it rest. For the past few months, however, it keeps creeping back into my mind. Now, I consider myself very skeptic when it comes to the paranormal, and to this day, I'm not sure if my story should be seen as a paranormal event. It can just as easily be seen as a bunch of very weird coincidences, wishful thinking, and mind tricks. I just wanted to share, and maybe ask you all what you'd make of this, offer some insight. Or call it BS and a nice story. It works both ways. Everything started around 15 years ago. In no way can I remember the exact order of everything as it spans a 3-year period, but the big picture is definitely in the right order. At one of my first days as a freshman in college, I met a new girl, Valerie. To this day, I still consider her the hottest goth chick I ever laid eyes on. She was funny, intelligent, and everything else I loved in a girl. But we both had a relationship, so we ended up becoming close friends. My parents' house wasn't that far from campus, so I would go home every night to keep my expenses down. I was a pretty heavy stoner back then, lighting up as soon as school would finish. But since I couldn't smoke indoors, I would often take long walks through our neighborhood and the areas around it after dark. That's when I started noticing streetlights would often go out when I passed them. Now, I don't claim I can make streetlights go out. I just noticed it happening a surprising amount of times, and it struck me as odd. Always different lights, always just as I came within a few yards. Let's say it happened around once or twice a month. Nothing extravagant, but I just never noticed it happening before. After a few months in college, spending time getting acquainted with all the nice things college has to offer, and getting to know Valerie better, I break up with my girlfriend. Nothing noteworthy happens between me and my gothy goddess, but we do start to grow closer, and at one point she mentions it's a shame no one sends letters anymore. So I tell her that I'll start writing to her, and we kind of become pen pals. Nothing love letter-like. Often the topics would go to the paranormal, deities, firstborn children, spirits, ghosts, that sort of thing. Things that fascinated both of us, with her being the believer and me being the skeptic. She tells me she considers herself a Wicca, which I'm still very skeptical about, but whatever floats her boat, right? I also learned she's been battling depression, is in a very unhealthy relationship, and has been hurting herself. According to some of my closest friends, these are the traits for a girl to have to set off my knight in shining armor complex, and none have set it off like she did. I started falling for her, hard. As all of this is happening, I wake up one day and look in the mirror to find a trident, like 2 inches long, kind of scratched into my shoulder. This is probably the first time I was a little spooked, so I obviously showed it to her and asked if she knew what could have caused it. She claimed it might have been from her trying a protective spell over me. Now I can feel your eyes rolling. Mine did too. I wasn't having any of that, and I brushed it off as a coincidence. Probably just scratching myself in my sleep or something in my bed causing it. And it kind of got me to take a step back from her, because, don't stick your... Life went on as usual. Valerie and me were still friends, but not that close. That normal life also meant lights kept going out as I passed them, which I still paid no special attention to until a friend of mine one night was walking next to me, when one went out, and said, "You ever notice how lights just go out when we walk past them? That's like the 3rd time this year." The first thing I felt when he said that was relieved, like it's not just in my mind. But then it started to dawn on me that if he thinks it's only when we're together, it happened way more to me than to him. Which means it really is starting to be too often to just be a coincidence. Having some distance from Valerie led to me meeting new people, and I started seeing another girl. which led to a very passionate and extremely hollow short-lived relationship. A couple of weeks into that relationship, I was riding my bike home after spending some quality time with the new flame, and I came up to this fork in the road I always pass. Both roads lead to my place in a way. The left is definitely shorter, but along a badly lit, bumpy trail. The right is through wonderfully lit suburbia, taking 5 to 10 minutes longer. As I approach and ponder which way to go, the power in the whole of suburbia goes out. Street lights, porch lights, everything, leaving it pitch black. Only the lights along the bumpy road are still on. Understandably rattled, I go in get the fuck out of here mode and pick up my pace to get home. The second my hand hits the button to open the garage door, I get a message on my cell. It's Valerie. I can't keep doing this. Sorry. Now, being a moron, I had no idea what that was supposed to mean. I thought I had done something wrong and she was ending our love, friendship, whatever. So I tried calling her back. No answer. Again, no answer. Probably called her 10 times, texting her in between, but to no avail. I decided to call a mutual friend who I knew saw her earlier that day, and I was like, did she say anything? And I told him about the message I got. Him, being somewhat less of a moron, quickly pointed out that she may have tried to kill herself, and that was her saying goodbye. So I called 911, and apparently I wasn't the first to call, and paramedics were already on their way. So what happened on her side? She had slit her wrist in the bathtub after sending me that message. My excessive calling caught her mother's attention, who walked into the bathroom, found her, and called 911 about 10 minutes before I did. Now, I'm in no way saying this saved her life. I'm pretty sure it was as much or more of a cry for help than a suicide attempt. But as stories with a lot of coincidences to happen in a short period of time go, this one is freaky enough for me. After that night, she healed up, I got single again, we grew together, had a weird night that ended in some kissing, and depending on how you define things, we were an item for a while. But as much as I loved her, and as much I'm sure she loved me, she kept testing my loyalty, and at a certain point, it just broke and I moved on, with the good old, let's stay friends. The end? Well, almost. There's a last part that's probably bugging me most of all, and that will probably make you call BS on the whole story, but it truly is what happened after. We grew apart. Our story became a bit of a local urban legend among some of our closer friends. Some believed some of it. Most, I think, felt like it was utter BS. It did scare the living daylight out of two friends of mine when a light happened to go out when they were outside with me. But sadly, Valerie and mine's friendship went south over the following months, and we had a falling out where I pretty much told her she was a parasite, toying with people for fun, and she could go fuck herself. What can I say? I'm a poet. But after the night I told her that, I felt free, liberated, and life went on. Lights stopped dying on me. Her and me found love with different people and started our own lives. Then about 4 years ago, I'm reading a newspaper and see her picture in it. Sad story about how her firstborn son has been battling some unknown illness for years, and no one has a clue what's wrong. Now, like I said, I really don't believe in most paranormal claims, but I'm pretty sure that when we were nearing that point where I told her to go, I thought back about all her letters about curses and witches and firstborn children, and being the frustrated prick I was, I cursed the firstborn she would have without me. And even though I don't believe any of that stuff, there's this little voice in the back of my mind judging me for maybe even just thinking or saying it. Hello everybody, I am the Dead Giant, and thank you all so very much for watching this video. If you enjoyed this story, please leave a like and subscribe. It would mean so very much to me. And if you have a story of your own that you would like me to share, I'll leave a link down below where you can contact me. I hope you all have a wonderful day or night, whatever it is, wherever you are, and I will see you in my next video.